Now, with much attention globally on the capture of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, its consequences and aftermath of the 2 weeks of protests and unrest in Iran, which threatens the regime that's ruled since 1979, it is easy to miss the renewed fighting that's been going on in Syria this week. Battles in one of the oldest cities in the world, in Aleppo, a city that's been caught in the crosshairs of conflict for more than a decade during the civil war. The military interim Syrian government, which toppled the Assad dictatorship 13 months ago, has been involved in fierce fighting against the Kurdish fighters of the Syrian Defence Force, the SDF, over its apparent refusal to integrate the Syrian force, as agreed in a US brokered deal in March last year, and the transitional government saying its forces have come under attack. Well, Syria had announced a ceasefire today after 3 days of clashes. The SDF given us 6 hours to evacuate. As of tonight, the Syrian army is warning that there will be strikes on the city if they don't. Meanwhile, Turkey's defence minister says he welcomes the operation against Kurdish fighters. And all the while, the two top officials in the EU, Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa, are in Damascus, where they've announced $720 million worth of post-war recovery for the government. Shirley Sitbon has the latest.
A cautious ceasefire takes hold after 3 days of clashes in Aleppo. The fighting between the Syrian government and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces has been the most intense in the country for more than 6 months. Here in the Sheikh Maksud neighborhood, buses are on standby to transport Kurdish militants to the northeast of the country under SDF control. This encompasses large swathes of the north down the Iraqi border, accounting for some third of Syrian territory. But SDF fighters are refusing to leave, saying they intend to resist the Syrian army instead. Residents have also been urged to evacuate, but more than 140,000 people have already been displaced since Tuesday, and many are tired from ongoing conflict in their war-torn country.
We've had enough war for 14 years. It's enough. We want to live in peace, nothing more. We urge foreign countries to put pressure on SDF militias to leave Syria.
Many families have come to seek help during the day. The situation is indeed very dangerous, especially near the conflict zone.
The Syrian government and the SDF have accused each other of starting the latest round of violence. It comes amid stalled negotiations between the two sides, which have struggled to implement a deal reached last March to merge the Kurds administration and military into the country's new government.
Let's bring in Dr. Hamza al Mustafa, Syria's information minister from Damascus. Welcome to France 24, Dr. al Mustafa. Great to speak to you tonight and try to have some clarity on what's going on. The Syrian Defence Force wants autonomy. Your government wants a united country under one rule. Why can't you sort this through diplomacy?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Regarding to the current confrontation, we need to clarify the main reason behind or how this confrontation started, because this confrontation is not against Kurds. We are considered the Kurds as an integral and historical part of the Syrian fabric. So regarding to the problem with SDF, we can distinguish between two separate tracks. The 10 agreement, the March 10 agreement, which consider as a wider political framework addressing the possibility of SDF integration into the state and the state institution. The other agreement, which is dedicated only for the two neighbors in Aleppo, I mean here Sheikh Maksud and Al-Ashrafiyeh, is has been agreed in the 1st of April 2025 and require the fighter affiliated to SDF and BKK to withdraw from the two neighborhoods with the heavy weaponry and allow for transfer the administration for the police, for the internal police. However, even we are now 10 months after the agreement, but until now, SDF has not implemented the agreement. Otherwise, SDF violated the agreement more than 300 attacks targeting the civilian institution and also infrastructure like hospital, like schools, and we can also, we are, as a government, we have witnessed that, especially after when the deadline of the 10 March agreement ended in the last round in Damascus, SDF tried to put pressure on the government by escalating the situation into Aleppo. So,
Yes.
and this is a tactic usually have been increasingly employed by SDF recently in order to put the pressure on the government. What we want,
yes.
the solution as a government, we are always in favor for peaceful and negotiated solution. And yesterday we have reached an agreement.
Well, let me ask you about
ceasefire.
that, Hamza. You mentioned the ceasefire, and you talk about an agreement. Yet you are on the verge of striking Aleppo once again because there is a 6-hour ceasefire. There's a message here. We have a statement from the Kurdish Council. This is the Aleppo Sheikh Maqsoud area, the Ashrafia districts as well, saying this. The calls to leave is, quote, a call to surrender. Kurdish forces will instead, quote, defend their neighbourhoods, accusing government forces of intensive shelling. So that, to me, suggests the ceasefire won't go anywhere. Are you intent on bowing Aleppo tonight if that doesn't happen?
Yeah. As I mentioned, that we didn't violate the agreement. According to the agreement, that the SDF affiliated fighters should leave the two neighborhoods at 9 in the morning. However, a large segment of the fighters already left and defected from the SDF. However, there is some extreme group affiliated to PKK rather than SDF. They decided to stay. So that's why the Syrian army gave another time and warning for civilians in Sheikh Maqsoud to evacuate and gave also the remnant of the fighter 2 corridors in order to evacuate. But if
the
they
civilians.
Continue, the
Let me ask you this,
and
because
also we sent. Yes.
Dr. Al Mustafa,
many sorry.
This is causing a nightmare for Washington, isn't it? Western and US allies have historically supported the Syrian Defence Forces, as we know, in the Kurdish-led. They've recently put their trust in your interim government. Tom Barrack, the US Special Envoy to Syria, is urging restraint on all sides. He's issued an urgent appeal to your government to pause hostilities, to commit to de-escalation. Now, a 6-hour pause is not committing to de-escalation. This isn't restraint. You're about to bomb and strike Aleppo again.
No, we haven't started striking Aleppo. And the military operation, it's very accurate because we wanted to preserve, we wanted to ensure the safety of civilians. Here we are not, this is not against the Kurdish people. The 2 neighborhoods are a location for the Arab and Turkmen, and more than 150,000 have been evacuated from 2 areas. Regarding to the Tom Barrack, we, as I mentioned before, as a government, we prefer and we work a lot to reach an agreement and peaceful compromise to the conflict, to the dispute with SDF. And since the March 10 agreement, that's we were eager with the United Nations, with the United States mediation and supervision to reach such a peaceful agreement. But until now, because SDF is not. They don't have the desire and the will, and maybe they have an internal division within the core elite of the SDF that's banned them from going forward in this agreement. However, we, as the Syrian government, we are clear that we prefer, until now, we are committed to the March 10 agreement, and we ask the United States help and support, and also the EU support in order to put pressure on SDF in order to integrate their structure into the governmental institution.
Yes.
Now until now, we didn't declare that the failure of the March 10 agreement. Until now, we are waiting a response, a positive response from SDF. Even the last negotiation round here in Damascus weeks ago, and after a lot of promises and after a lot of words, we haven't reached any tangible consequences or results.
So basically, just to clarify, Dr. Al Mustafa, just to try to understand the position right now, how many more hours are left of this ceasefire for the SDF to clarify its position?
So at the beginning, we have reached the agreement at 1 Damascus time, and we gave the SDF fighter a time from 3 a.m. until 9 a.m. to evacuate, and we sent many convoy in order to transfer them from the two neighborhoods to the eastern part of the country. And
Yes.
when the remnant of the fighter decided not to leave, the fighters have given more time, 6 hours until the 6 o'clock p.m. in Damascus time.
Right,
and
let me ask you.
Until now, we are in negotiation.
Yes.
We are in negotiation. We are prepared to reach a peaceful. Can you imagine that a major and urban city like Aleppo? Aleppo is considered the second largest city in the country. Aleppo is considered the economic capital of the country. Aleppo under daily threat since 10 months until now. And after the last escalation, the local community and constant appeal from the local that's asking the government to take its responsibility and to restore the order and achieve stability, because
Yes.
it's important for the daily life. No government can bear this dire situation every day just because a few number of the fighter want to target the civilian all the time.
But here's the thing, Dr. Al Mustafa, the EU chiefs are in your capital tonight, giving money to the rebuild of the country, a post-war rebuild, $722 million. Aren't you risking the trust and the relief of sanctions, post-war recovery, all of this European money going into rebuilding a country, when you're at the same time, you're not talking diplomacy, you're not doing what the US has asked, which is refrain right now, that you've put an ultimatum on this. Ursula von der Leyen has, quote, said in the last few hours, this is worrisome. She wants you to return to dialogue.
First of all, we appreciated what EU has done for the Syrian during the Syrian revolution. And of course, the Syrian stability is vital for the regional stability. And as the Syrian government, we're eager that we asked the EU and the other player in the international order to remove a sanction. So until now, we are talking about this amount. This amount is usually dedicated before the collapse of Assad regime is usually dedicated for what they can call the early recovery. So until now, of course, we are trying to navigate a new path in order to rebuild our country, but we want to rely on our capability, our ability. Of course, this assistance is very vital and could play, and we are eager to reach, as I said, we are eager to involve positively in the relation with the EU.
Yes.
And the EU is playing also a role regarding to the civil society here and supporting civil society here, supporting the governance, the governance here in Syria, and also supporting a negotiation with the internal
Yes.
part, Syrian part, in order to consolidate a new reality that's more positive than before.
Dr. Hamza al Mustafa, thank you for your time tonight, Information Minister in Syria. Thank you for joining France 24.
Thank you so much.